Hi, my name's Daniel. I'm an application specialist at Avid, and today we're just going to have a quick overview of the new Pro Tools dock. So let's have a quick look at the hardware features of the dock. You'll notice that today I have it sitting next to an S3, but of course it could be next to an Artist Mix, or just the dock by itself is totally fine. So let's have a look at some of the features on this hardware controller. So starting down the bottom here, we have dedicated transport keys, which is really useful, and I think it's going to be very useful with the upcoming collaboration softwares that you have your keyboard separate for chat and things like that, and your transport key in a separate controller. So we have our play, stop, fast forward, return to zero, record, and loop enable. The shift button enables the second functions for these keys. Above the transport keys, we have this touch strip, and this touch strip can be assigned to many different things. Currently, number 1 here is assigned to mix window, edit window, swap, and many other assignments that you can do here. Up above the transport section on the right side, we have basically view controls, so we can do things like bank our project and nudge track by track as well, and we have zoom controls for Pro Tools so that we can zoom vertically and horizontally, as well as if we go into shift we can also scroll horizontally as well if we need to. This also gives you your jog and shuttle controls, which are then controlled on this really nice jog wheel. This jog wheel is really similar to the one on S6, so it's really high quality. Over on the left side here we have automation controls, and these automation controls of course include write, touch, latch, and all of those usual controls. And if you have Pro Tools HD with the advanced automation features, it also gives you a shortcut to all of those advanced automation features as well. Probably the most important thing is this controller also has a fader on it as well. So when you select a track, either in Pro Tools or via the iPad, the control for that track then comes down to this fader. The nice thing about this fader and the whole unit is that it's connected by UConn. So it's not a MIDI controller, it's a UConn enabled controller. This means that you have much higher resolution. The resolution of MIDI, for example, is only 128 steps. In UConn it's 1028, so you have a much higher resolution of not only your controls but all your meters as well. Obviously for the channels that you've selected, you've got a mute and a solo switch as well. The other important feature of this is that we have encoders. So when you select a channel in channel view, it gives you a hardware control for things like your plugins and also your sends and pans if you select them. If I select my pan, it's going to give me a hardware control for my pan. If I select my EQ, it's going to give me a hardware control for my EQ. In this section here, we have keys to activate the soft keys. So I can choose soft keys on my iPad application, and from here I can control which soft keys I use and then activate that soft key from this section here. So that's a basic overview of the front part of the Pro Tools dock, but I now want to show you what the connections are like on the rear of the dock. So if we have a look on the rear of the dock here at the connectors that we of course have the power, so the unit will turn on, and then next to that we have a really handy USB port which you can use to charge your iPad, so you don't have to worry about having another adapter to keep your iPad charged all of the time. I also use this for charging my iPhone a lot. It's really handy to have. The other connector that we have here, we have a Kensington lock, so if you're in an educational area, for example, you can use the Kensington lock to make sure that your very transportable dock doesn't go missing. The other thing that we have here is the Ethernet connector. This is how the dock connects to Pro Tools. So you can have this connected either to your Mac or PC directly, or to a hub, and then that will connect over to your computer. The other connector that we have here is for the foot switch. The foot switch you can use for a large number of things depending on how you set it. It can be transport, play, stop, and it can be drop in for record, which is probably the most usual way to use a foot switch. For example, if you're recording an instrument like a guitar by yourself, it can be handy to be able to drop in just using a foot switch. So that's what the foot switch controller is for. If I turn it back around, you'll see that the iPad is currently not sitting in the dock. And in a number of ways, this is quite handy. It can mean that you can have transport controls for your Pro Tools session away from your computer. If you're recording vocals or a guitar in another room or a booth, you could use this application. But of course, the most normal place for the dock will be to sit right here in this nice little mounting for the iPad. So that's a really quick overview of what the Pro Tools dock has.